Hey guys, this is Jay Calderon with Jay Unboxing here giving you a personal prediction for Jaime Munguia versus Gabriel Rosado. And as always, this is just my take. Your prediction can be left down in the comments section below. Would love to hear them all. So, we get into the fight info for this main event on Saturday. It's going to be taking place at the Honda Center in Anaheim, California, airing live on DAZN in the middleweight division. No title on the line between Munguia and Rosado, but a very interesting fight nonetheless. It's a solid fight with the potential to be a very exciting encounter. Nothing specifically on the line, as I mentioned, in terms of a title or even a title shot directly, but a chance for the winner to make some noise at 160 pounds. For Rosado, it could be his last shot at making noise in the sport especially, and with Munguia potentially having his sights set on title opportunities or bigger fights in the coming year, in that sense, there's plenty to be won and lost in this affair. And these two will show up to fight. We know that for sure. So, should be a good one, and with that, let's get into the breakdown. Starting with Munguia here, for Munguia to win, I think he needs to vary where you place the left hook. He has a very solid left hook, and he likes to dig it to the body, and at times will come upstairs with it as well. Pretty often, as a matter of fact. I think he needs to make sure that he's consistent with his inconsistency as to where he places that shot. Sometimes it should go to the body, and sometimes it should go up top. That's going to force Rosado to have to guess where to defend when, if he sees that shot coming, and that of course is going to allow for Munguia to have the most effect with that shot. It'll be far more punishing if Rosado isn't able to carefully prepare for that incoming shot. And again, he has a solid left hook, so if he's digging to the body, it's going to tire his man out, who is probably more of the mover of the two of them anyway. It's going to lower that guard, and it's going to open up that more punishing left hook upstairs later in the fight to begin with. I would also say Munguia needs to avoid defensive straight lines. Now, what I mean by this is there's two things that you have to worry about in terms of your lines defensively. The first one is, are you backing up in a straight line? The second one is, are you letting your head stay in a straight line without any movement? Munguia does have a tendency to do a little bit of both of those things, and he can't do it against a guy like Rosado who is willing to throw shots. He will punish you for that. As a result, I'm not saying that he has to move into this kind of James Toney area where his head movement is all over the place at the waist, or that he's bouncing around like Pernell Whitaker in there, but he does need to make sure that he at least adds a little bit of nuance to his game by ensuring that his head is off that line a little bit. And when he's backing up, this is an even easier fix. It just needs to be at a little bit of an angle. Make Rosado have to stretch or reach when he's trying to throw those shots instead of just having to step forward and just hit you straight down the middle with a 1-2. Make it a little more challenging, and this of course is going to add to the longevity of your career, but also just how well you look and perform in this particular counter as well. And finally, land the right uppercut on the inside. Rosado has a solid chin, but one of the best ways to break those kinds of chins is with uppercuts. It's a shot that's just very hard to see coming, and it's one of those shots that if it's landed correctly, it's almost guaranteed to hit the chin, and as a result give you the desired outcome of hurting your opponent. Munguia has a solid right uppercut, and he can throw it at times from a little bit too far out, but if he's able to get in on the inside, which I don't think Rosado's gonna ultimately it's going to happen. The fight's going to end up on the inside. If he's able to land that right uppercut on the inside, I think it's going to pay dividends and can ultimately lead to his victory in the fight. Now, for Rosado to win, I think he needs to make sure, don't rely on single shots. I'm not saying that you have to let yourself be perpetual motion in the ring, but you have to make sure that you're not just jabbing once or twice. You need to get the respect of Munguia a little bit, and you also need to make sure that you're scoring. Munguia, thus far, has shown that he has a solid chin. So if you're trying to just win this fight with one or two single shots, eventually you're going to be put in a spot where you're just falling behind on the cards if you're not able to knock him down with that single shot. So instead, vary up your attack, get his respect with a little more activity, and then thus give yourself a better chance of landing something hurtful as well. And this will probably be the best route of victory for me that I see for Rosado. I would also say land something early to keep Munguia thinking. That's kind of what I alluded to there as well, which is if he doesn't feel like you have the power to stop him, he is going to continue to move forward. And Rosado doesn't have tremendous power, but he has respectable enough pop, as he showed in his last fight, that he can hurt you if he lands clean, if he lands flush, and you're not being respectful of what he can land. I think he needs to land something, if not that impactful, certainly something meaningful that keeps Munguia thinking and forcing him to have to be cautious before he advances. This gives Rosado again time to recover, recuperate, build up momentum, whatever it is that he needs to do in that fight, and of course gives him the best chance to succeed here. And finally, keep your back off the ropes. Rosado has decent movement and head movement. He can bend at the waist and get out of shots at times, but out of the way of shots rather at times. But if he's caught on the ropes or in the corner too often against a guy who probably punches harder than he does, I just don't see how that's going to be beneficial to him. Rosado didn't have particularly strong shots at 154. They're fighting at middleweight, and Munguia has seemed to carry his power up. So clearly the puncher is Munguia. And if you're making yourself a stationary target against the ropes, you're just allowing him to tee off, which could spell trouble for Rosado. And in terms of my pick, the smart money is on Munguia, and that's where I would place my money as well. Rosado has a chance, don't get me wrong, I respect him. He is a warrior and certainly has a fighting mentality. However, the fresher, younger of the two that has yet to learn how to lose in Munguia is most likely the favorite on everyone's card, in my opinion, and that matters. It matters because it means he might not swell up as much or cut as much, and these things might play themselves out in the fight. Rosado will put in a good accounting of himself. He always does, but he will come out the worse for wear after a few rounds of exchanges, which will eventually happen. After the first or second round where they're feeling each other out, the third and fourth, Rosado will be probably swelling, possibly bleeding. This is just the way these fights tend to work for him, and Munguia will continue to march forward with intent. While it's hard to predict whether he knocks Rosado out, as he does have a tremendous chin and I respect his resolve in all of his fights, I do think he stops him in the middle frames, either by way of his corner or the referee stopping it between rounds or after seeing too much bleeding or swelling, whatever it might be, or maybe having him hurt and getting the referee to step in. Regardless, I do see Munguia winning that way, Munguia via mid-fight stoppage. And to be honest, the betting odds don't really disagree with me here. Munguia is a heavy favorite at a minus 1200 with Rosado coming in at a plus 650. So he's certainly not the fighter most expect to win in this contest, especially at this point in his career. Again, not an impossibility, so if you wanted to lay that kind of money on Rosado, just as a kind of small bet you're willing to throw away, I understand it. Worse and weirder things have happened in terms of upsets in the sport, especially the last couple of years with how weird boxing has been. Still, there's not much in terms of straight up money lines here that I would go with anyway. If you can find a decent under, maybe, if they have like a line selection of 8 or 9 or 10, really respecting the chin of Rosado, I would be willing to maybe take that under just because I do think that with the cutting and swelling, there's a solid chance the fight ends even earlier. That being said, that's a little close, so it just kind of depends on what you're confident in. In any event, my prediction record heading into the weekend is 39, 15, and 3 with 12 exact. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. We'd love to hear all your thoughts and bets, predictions. How good do you think this fight's going to be? Kind of being my primary question, because I think it could definitely be a good one. They don't seem to disappoint either of these two when it comes to excitement. So we'd love to know all that, so on and so forth. Also, I will have a link in the description box for a piece that I'm writing on the career of Jaime Munguia and how he's advancing and what I'd like to see for him in the year 2022. So you can go ahead and click that down below and give that a good read. I would appreciate that as well. Please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and follow at jcalderon_JOB. And you can email me at junboxing@gmail.com. Love to hear from you there. Also, be sure to check out Unboxing for schedule, results, betting odds, all that good stuff. And as always, until next time.